Greetings, fanboys and fangirls. My book, Cassandra Killjoy, Paranormal Private Eye, The Search for the Swordsman, is available on Amazon.com. You can buy your copy right now by following the link in the description box. And for more information, feel free to follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Enjoy the video. Why the heck isn't Amazon Studios advertising this show in the United States? For those of you who don't know, there's a brand new Zorro streaming series on Prime Video right now. And most people don't know about it because the advertising campaign for it in the United States is non-existent. It's apparently being promoted really, really well over in Europe and in South America, but here in North America, for whatever reason, they're not promoting it, which is so weird because it's excellent. If I had a streaming service, if I owned a streaming service and this show was on it, I would be shouting it from the mountaintops. Anyway, be warned, there will be spoilers ahead, so if you haven't seen the show yet, you might want to stop the video here and check it out. Like I said, it's excellent, highly recommend it, especially if you're a fan of the franchise or the genre, the swashbuckling action-adventure genre in general. You were warned. So, one of the reasons why people kept telling me that they didn't check it out when it premiered this past Friday, January 19th, was because they saw it come up as a new show that was available to watch, and it had a star rating of 1 out of 5 on Prime Video. Fun fact about their star rating, it's 100% based on how many people have reviewed the show and how many viewers have given it a thumbs up. So even if all the reviews are positive and everybody who has seen it has given it a thumbs up, if not a lot of people have done that, then collectively the star rating is low. With that said, right now, as I am recording this on the Tuesday after it premiered, it already has 4 out of 5 stars as its rating. So there you go. Furthermore, it's number 1 in Brazil. It's number 9 in the United States. And right now, as I am recording this, it has an audience score on Rotten Tomatoes of 86% positive. So no critics score yet. Either not enough critics have reviewed it on Rotten Tomatoes, or no critics have reviewed it on Rotten Tomatoes yet. But I'm reviewing it right now, and I'm telling you, this is a quality show. The writing, the shot design, the cinematography, the production design, the costume design, the makeup effects, the VFX, the practical effects, the stunts, the fight choreography, everything is top notch. This is a Zorro show that is produced with the utmost quality and artistry. All right? People keep asking me, how does it compare to previous Zorro adaptations? And to tell you the honest to God truth, it's like comparing apples to oranges. All the previous adaptations were designed for their medium. The original Douglas Fairbanks movies were designed to be silent movies, so they work really, really well as silent movies. The live-action Disney show that I believe was on in the 50s and 60s, starring Guy Williams, was designed to be a family show, so it works really well as a family show. The 90s Zorro, starring Duncan Regehr from the Family Channel, that one was designed to be more of an action-adventure serial, like classic action-adventure serial, very much in the style of Star Wars and Indiana Jones, that kind of style of action, and it works well in that genre. That medium. And of course, the Antonio Banderas movies, they're big, giant, blockbuster movies that are meant to see on the big screen. so they work well on that medium. This is a streaming series through and through. It's a serialized, ongoing story told across 10 parts. However, unlike a lot of modern streaming shows that is just the one story, and technically speaking, it's just a movie but stretched out unnecessarily across multiple episodes, where they could easily tell that story in just a 3 act format. Secret Invasion. The producers of this show, of this new Zorro show, very much applied the classic telenovela style of subplots and story arcs in this show, as multiple stories are happening at the same time as the show is progressing. So there's never a dull moment. There's always multiple things happening at the same time, and you're intercutting between different character stories, and sometimes they meet and become one story, and sometimes they don't. And they might cross in a future season. So very cool, very well designed and plotted out as far as the multi-phase storytelling technique that they used. This, at least in this first season. I hope they keep that in future seasons. In my opinion, the one existing show that I feel most comfortable comparing it to would be the BBC's The Musketeers. It's that classic swashbuckling tale, but told with a more modern perspective and with modern techniques and modern styles. But as an ongoing serial. And in fact, it feels like this show and The Musketeers belong in the same universe. So if you love that show, if you love The Musketeers, which is great, by the way, you'll definitely love this show. Before I get on the subject of the premise of this show, it occurs to me while talking to people on social media that most people don't actually know what Zorro is about. They have a broad understanding of the premise of Zorro, but they don't really know. Like for example, a lot of people, for some reason, think that Zorro takes place in Mexico. It doesn't. Zorro, created by Justin McCulley in 1919, takes place in between, I want to say, the 1830 and 1840. This show specifically takes place in 1833. And it takes place in California, Los Angeles, California, which at the time was predominantly populated by Native Americans, Spanish lords that bought the majority of the land, and Spanish and Mexican peasants who were looking to start a new life on this new world. One of the rich families, one of the aristocratic families that own a very considerable chunk of the land in California are the De La Vegas. The son of the family, the only son of the family, Diego, is sent away to Spain, to Madrid, to train and study and learn everything he needs to know to be a gentleman, to be a caballero, to be somebody worthy of taking over the family business and inheriting the land and their fortune and being the head of the family one day. However, while Diego's over there, on top of learning how to fight and strategize and handle himself physically as a warrior, as a caballero, he also develops a thirst for knowledge. This is a very exciting time as far as scientific and technological advances, so he stays a lot longer studying and learning everything that he can. In the midst of that, he finds out through correspondence that there is a great deal of corruption back at home. So he decides to go back and finds that, sure enough, the people are being terrorized by the government and mistreated. He feels the plight of the people, so he decides to apply all the skills that he learned in Madrid, but both as a fighter and as a thinker to fight on behalf of the people under the guise of Zorro. Some people have accused this new show of changing the lore. I disagree with that. They didn't change the lore, they added to it. Everything I just said happens in this show, but they just expanded it and added more to it. Like, for example, in this show, Zorro isn't the persona that Diego made up. It is this holy guardian spiritual symbol that the natives in that particular region in the West used to defend themselves. One noble warrior within their tribe is chosen to be Zorro. And when the show starts, one of them is already Zorro, is already active in California, and is already a legend. The legend is already established. But in the opening scene, and again, I apologize for spoilers, but you were warned, not only does that Zorro die, but also Diego's father, Alejandro, is assassinated. So that's what motivates Diego to come back to California, is to find out what the heck happened to his father. That's all he wants. He's not concerned with the plight of the people or what the government is doing. But what ends up happening is that he is told by a representative of the tribe of natives that are in that area, named Cuervo Nocturno, Night Crow, which is one of the most awesome names ever, that he's been chosen, that Diego's going to be the next Zorro. And symbolically and beautifully, this black fox keeps appearing to Diego as a sign that he's supposed to be the next Zorro. So basically, in this show, Zorro is this mantle that keeps getting passed from one person to the other through the generations, kind of like the Black Panther in the Marvel Universe, or the Phantom, Lee Falk's The Phantom. And I'm 100% okay with that. It makes it more interesting. I like that this is a mythological figure that has existed long before the settlers showed up. And it fits with the status in which real world people look at Zorro as the granddaddy of the superheroes, the character that inspired characters like Batman and countless others. And of course, in the true spirit of the hero's journey, Diego doesn't want the mantle of Zorro. All he wants to do is solve his father's murder and possibly avenge him. But he finds out that he's meant for more, and eventually the plight of the people and the horrible things that the government is doing is too much, so he accepts the call. But what's interesting about the show is that he does it in his own way. Which ties into the reason why he was chosen and not somebody else from the tribe. It's because now, after all this time, all these settlers have now populated California. And it's not just the indigenous people that are being mistreated, but the peasants as well, and these settlers as well. And Diego is chosen because he walks in both worlds. He is a privileged rich man, but he's also somebody that sympathizes with the community. So he can operate as Zorro in areas and in arenas where one of the natives really couldn't. And help the people, not just as Zorro, but as the rich and powerful Don Diego de la Vega. The show has two ongoing main themes, and one is the difference between the myth and the reality. This theme, of course, is illustrated the best in my favorite episode of the season, which is episode 7, The Myth. And the episode basically shows you side by side what actually happened and what the local newspaper, the Californiano, printed, and how they tell the story of the events of Zorro trying to liberate the people and the ongoing conflict between Zorro and the government. Amazing episode. To me, that episode alone makes this show better than most modern streaming series that are available right now. Another one of the major themes that plays throughout the season is that of choosing justice or choosing vengeance. And it's represented through multiple characters. Like I said, Diego is initially more concerned with getting revenge for his father's death, but other more pressing matters come up, so he chooses to fight on behalf of justice because there is none. Because when justice is outlawed, the just must become outlaws. However, that's also represented through other characters, namely one of his main antagonists in the series, which is Nalin, who is the native woman who believes she should be the next Zora, because her brother was the previous one, and she just wants revenge, just plain and simple revenge. She is the Punisher to Zorro's Batman, and so Zorro's in the middle, and on this side you have Capitan Monasterio, who's the captain of the guard in the town, who is completely divided as to whether he should continue to follow orders blindly or do what's right. So those 30 characters and others as well, you see this theme play out consistently throughout the entire season. All right, let's talk about the cast, starting with Zorro himself, Diego de la Vega, Miguel Bernardino. So I keep hearing criticisms that they purposely casted your stereotypical, looking male lead for this show, light skin, blue eyes, light hair. If you're under the delusion that look was invented in the United States or by Hollywood, you're sorely mistaken. Unless you missed it, a major plot point of Zorro is that Diego is of noble birth. And traditionally speaking, Spaniards that are of noble birth have very light skin, light hair, and usually blue or green eyes. Okay? And I even heard somebody arguing that, but Antonio Banderas was Zorro in the movie. Apparently that individual didn't actually watch those movies because Antonio Banderas doesn't play Diego de la Vega. He plays the next Zorro, Alejandro Morieta. Diego de la Vega is played by Anthony Hopkins. And I'll let you fill in the blanks. Anyway, so Miguel, however, let's talk about Miguel's performance. What actually matters, and it's good. Okay, the man has that Chris Evans, Melissa Benoist quality where, yeah, he is the ideal. He is super handsome, he's tall, he's everything you want in a lead. However, he has this appeal, this natural appeal, where you just believe that he is that noble. You believe that he's that well-intended. And that's excellent. And then when he's Zorro, he brings the intensity necessary for that the role requires. And I can't respect the guy enough for that. I find that even if he doesn't fit into whatever image of Zorro you have in your mind, he will be Zorro by the time you finish watching the show. The rest of the cast is amazing. Paco Taus as Bernardo, Diego's butler and partner assistant. He is his Alfred. He is his Robin. Amazing. The character is mute. So all of Paco's performance is 100% visual. And what an amazing actor. There's never any confusion as to what the character's trying to get across. I cannot compliment Rodolfo Sancho enough, who plays Governor Victoria. Excellent villain. My only complaint is that he leaves the show a little too early, in my opinion, and I think this should have been a character that should stay a lot longer. However, his departure creates even more problems for Diego and the rest of the characters. So that was an interesting choice. So it's not a complaint, it's just, man, I feel the loss of his character. I also have to highlight that this show has the best